Alrighty people, how you doing? So today we got Meteor 350 that we will be working on, and we are here at Shishu Farms. This is gonna be our future garage slash parking, you can call it. Today we'll be installing the fuelx Pro Plus on this motorcycle along with the BMC air filter. It's gonna be a step-by-step guide for you guys so that you can do it at your home yourself too. So if you find this video helpful, I would kindly request you to subscribe to the channel. And also you can support me by clicking on the link in the description. Actually, the motorcycle that I'm working on belongs to a person who did support me, and it's my payback to her. It's like she supported me by $5, so I'm doing this job for her, and she's gonna be, you know, enjoying her motorcycle a little more after this. So do consider subscribing to the channel and supporting me by clicking on the link in the description. Alright, let's get into the video. Okay, so you'll need your motorcycle along with the BMC air filter and the fuelx unit that you purchased, and you also need this toolkit that I'm gonna leave a link in the description down below. If you do not have it, you can purchase it, and you will need it to work on your motorcycle. So we'll begin by removing the seats and the tank of the motorcycle. You need a 6mm Allen head socket in order to undo these screws that are mounted on the backrest. You can begin by turning all 4 of these screws loose, and once they are all loose, you can completely take them off. Once the screws are undone, pull the backrest backwards gently, and then we're gonna lift the rear seat upwards, removing the lock at the rear end. Now you'll need a 10mm hex socket in order to undo these 2 bolts that are holding the front seat in its place. Once the front seat's off the motorcycle, you will need a 8mm and a 10mm hex socket in order to undo the screw that is holding the tank in its place. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Now go grab a block of wood or piece of plastic that's gonna help you keep the tank elevated while you're working underneath that, removing all the vent hose and the fuel pump and the electronics attached to the tank. We'll begin by removing 2 vent hoses that are connected underneath the tank right in the middle of it. Once that's done, now we'll remove the fuel line that is connected to the fuel pump, and that's on the left side of the motorcycle. All you gotta do is grab the 2 locks that are there on either side of the fuel line, and by pulling it backwards. Don't be alarmed if you see a little bit of fuel dribbling, that's normal. Now we'll disconnect the electric supply of the fuel pump. There is a lock on it, just pinch it and pull it downwards. Okay soldiers, if you've been following carefully and closely, now is the time to use some muscles and lift the tank off the chassis and place it somewhere safer. And now the motorcycle is ready for some real work, and since I'm installing the BMC air filter along with the fuelx, I'll have to take the plastic housing off the motorcycle that is there on the left and the right side. On the left side is where we have the air filter unit, and on the right side is where we have the battery that we will need access to in order to install the fuelx. So on the left side of the motorcycle, after removing the 2 Allen screws, gently pull the plastic outwards and downwards of the rubber locks. And that's the air filter assembly that you're looking at right there, and that's on the left side of the motorcycle. On the right side, remove this plastic like you normally would. This is the place where you keep all your toolkit and your first aid kit as well. It does not have any screws, just use your key to unlock it and pull it out of the rubber locks just like that. Undo the rubber strap and pull out the toolkit and the first aid kit. We will use this compartment to store the fuelx unit. Now locate the negative terminal of the battery and unscrew it using a screwdriver. We will need access to it in the coming moments to attach the ground cable of the fuelx to it. Now up near the engine, locate the lambda sensor and disconnect it. Grab the fuelx unit along with the harness that came in the box. Now we will use the harness to connect the lambda sensor of the motorcycle to the fuelx unit. Unroll the harness and lay it down along the chassis of the motorcycle. Just make sure that the white connector is near to the fuelx unit and the black connectors are near to the lambda sensor of the motorcycle. And we'll have to connect this ground cable to the negative terminal of the battery, so we'll begin by doing that. Carefully and gently insert the ground cable into the screw of the negative terminal of the battery, and then screw the negative terminal of the battery back on the battery really carefully and gently. Once the ground cable is connected to the battery, make sure the ignition is off, and now grab the black plugs of the harness and we'll connect it to the lambda sensor of the motorcycle now. So these are male and female plug of the harness of fuelx, and they're gonna go into the male and female plugs of the lambda sensor on the motorcycle. You can't go wrong here as long as you're keeping the locks on the plugs in line, and make sure that you do not use any force, just use all your brains and gently push the male into the female on the lambda sensor. Now once one end of the harness is connected to the motorcycle, we're gonna lay down the entire length of the harness along with the chassis of the motorcycle in a really tidy manner. And now we're gonna place this fuelx unit in the compartment next to the first aid kit. There is some real nice space there, and once the rubber strap go over it, it really does not move or make any kind of noise. And now once the unit is placed inside the compartment, we're gonna grab the other end of the harness that is connected to the lambda sensor, and we're gonna connect it to the fuelx unit so that the signal is being sent to the unit and from the unit to the lambda sensor. Now grab the map switch harness from the fuelx box. So the switch is gonna go on the handlebar and the plug is gonna get connected to the fuelx unit. Again, lay down the harness in a really tidy manner just along with the chassis so that you do not run into any issues when you're putting the tank or the seats back on. You can also use the zip-lock ties that comes in the fuelx box. Make sure that all the plugs are locked in properly, and then move on to the handlebar to attach the map switch to the handlebar using the screws that came within the fuelx box. And there we have it, fuelx connected to Meteor 350. Put the tank back on and start the motorcycle in order to see if the fuelx is working properly. Make sure the green lights are blinking. So fuelx is installed properly and the lights are blinking in the desired manner. Now let's move on to installing the BMC air filter. Undo these 3 screws in order to remove the lid or cover of the air filter. Grab the lid and pull it out and you'll have your paper element air filter. Just detach it from the lid by pulling it apart. Grab your BMC air filter and lock it onto the lid like your paper element air filter was, and then just put the lid back onto the place where it was, and then job's done. No hard science in it. Just put the screws back onto the lid, and I would suggest you put the sticker onto the lid that came in the BMC box. It's just, like caution, do not wash me, because I have a different washing procedure. Okay team, you've done a good job. Now let's connect the tank back to the chassis. Make sure you connect all your vent hose pipes that you pulled apart, and then connect the electronic supply of the fuel pump. Connect the fuel line back to the fuel pump. Do not rush, it's really gentle and simple, and be patient if you stuck somewhere. And connect all your seats, put the bolts back in the place, do not rush, and it's just really simple. And it's amazing to work on your motorcycle when you do it yourself. If you're someone who's working on the motorcycle for the first time, don't be afraid, and if you have any questions related to Himalayan 450 or Meteor 350 or BMC or fuelx, leave your comments down below and I'll be more than happy to help. Peace.